for the Mega Man X.
Where-
Oh, that was Mega Man. That was just Mega Man. That wasn't Mega Man X. No, again, that was just Mega Man. I don't remember what X is. Well, that one might have been X. I think what JT did was Mega
No, you're right. Mega Man X is like.
I think that. Wait, that was Mega Man, wasn't it?
No, that was Mega Man X.
Is it?
I don't know anymore.
Everyone, welcome to the Super Baker Bros.
Welcome to the
Welcome
show.
to Super Baker Bros, where none of us know anything about soundtracks to video games and we make shit up.
I know tons about soundtracks. I work out to video game music.
Yeah,
I wrote a soundtrack.
Well,
I don't know if that's true, but me and Woody, I'm pretty sure, have like playlist of nothing but what's his name, Woody? Nobuo Uematsu.
Nobuo Uematsu.
That
We all.
I feel racist that I can't pronounce that
How
name.
dare you? You delete
So for
those
those-
playlists, Mackie.
I'm going to
Anyway,
interrupt. For those of you that don't know, Nobuo Uematsu is the composer for the Final Fantasy series of games. Back to
No,
you.
They don't know
Thank
that.
you,
They don't
Devin.
deserve to know it.
anyway, that's Devin, folks. Here we have Woody as well,
Hey.
and JT.
Hello.
Hello.
Big summer blowout.
No, I was quoting Trigun, but that's okay. I'll
I
let it
know.
slide.
Me and Woody.
Mackie
Woody, I'm
knows.
pretty sure me and you are the only ones who
Hello.
do that. Hello. I do that at work, and everyone's just like, "Oh, hi." I mean, I've done it so long that that's my natural default of saying hello.
So wait, I've actually watched my fair share of Trigun. Who says that?
That's Vash.
The girl in Vash. They say that. That's how they say hi. What's her name?
Vash and Millie.
Millie. Yeah, I think
it's Millie.
something like that.
I
That's
don't
how they
ever
like say
remember
hi to
that.
each other.
Every time they see
I
each
didn't
other,
know
she's like, "Hello." And she's
And
like,
he in turn is going hello.
Oh,
Anyway,
I need to watch it again.
it's an amazing series which we should
It's on
do
Hulu.
a podcast on anime at some point, just because we've all had our
Mm.
own
Why not?
That's another
Yeah.
podcast.
interests. But that's your
Castlevania,
podcast.
anyone?
Castlevania is a good one.
That's a video
How's
game.
everyone been
Yeah.
enjoying Elden Ring, which is what this podcast episode is about?
Oh, Elden Ring! Don't get me started.
Let's let Devin start.
Devin, how fair?
Okay, so hold
how
on.
did you fare?
Hold on. Before you even start, let me introduce some context. The context of Devin Baker playing Elden Ring. Devin has never played a From Software game before in his life. It was an awakening moment for him.
That's not entirely accurate.
Devin has never beaten a From Software game in his life.
There we go.
That is 100% accurate.
Devin has. I can't even say it with a straight face. Devin has never leveled up in a From Software game in his life.
That is
That.
also 100% accurate.
Oh my god, it is! Because it's something like you don't know at all.
That explains a lot.
Devin was actually Devin approached the From Software Elden Ring game with the idea, I'm gonna beat this entire game level 1. And I've never played a From Software game before, but I think I could do it.
Sorry, I just want to go back to the way JT described that. I'm going to beat this entire game.
I'm trying to keep it PG 13.
That's very kind of you.
So, Devin, did you come across any bosses in your short play?
Maybe. Two? Besides the very first thing that you don't always die to it. You can defeat the crab monster thing with double swords and a golden shield. You can.
Let me guess, you did.
But I did not.
Okay, I was just making sure because
I died.
What is it that you guys were saying to me? You're like, oh, when I went and fought the Black Knight. Yeah, I'm about to fight the Black Knight for my first time. Do you think he's going to beat it the first time? No, I can't be
No.
the first.
No one ever beats it the first time.
No one ever makes the first
No,
jump.
nobody ever makes that jump.
But what if he does?
But what if he does? Yeah, I did say that when we were playing. I was
Yeah.
like, but what if he does?
He does.
He fell. What does that mean?
So, out of
Jake-
curiosity, what class did you go with, Devin? What starting class?
Hero. I did choose hero because he had an
Choice,
axe.
my boy. Good
That's
choice.
where you made the mistake.
Thank you,
I
Jeremiah.
chose wretch.
Had a
Is
club.
that the one that runs
Naked
around almost
man.
naked?
Yeah.
Yes. I
Did you
too
choose the male
died
or female?
at the first boss.
So
I
JT
chose
either
male.
chose a mostly naked dude or a mostly naked female
He
to
had
play the
facial hair.
game.
Woody, what class did you end up going with?
I started as hero as well.
You started as
I
hero. Okay, so-
switched to a two-handed sword as soon as
Now,
possible.
Woody, did
That's what I
you
prefer.
beat the first boss? The first,
As a
the one
matter
you
of fact-
supposedly can beat?
I am so pro at this game. I knew I was supposed to die, and I let it kill me.
I immediately
I didn't even
went
try.
I immediately went into emote mode. Praise the
I was
sun.
like, "Kill me, my
Praise the
first
sun.
boss. I know what you do to me.
I know how the
I-
story ends.
Kill me."
Ah, he will not kill me if I bow to him. Bow? didn't seem to
But
I
That's just me.
take.
went with Samurai myself, and I hit the boss once, and then he killed me.
Once for like 5 damage.
Once for 5 damage.
Actually,
Thereabouts.
I went for the R2 attack, and I was like, of course, the wretch starts with a giant club, right? So he's like, getting ready to swing. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get him.
And it screamed at you and you died.
He used like 8 different kinds of swords and sticks to
Welcome to Dark
Seems to
Souls,
me that
bitch.
Yeah, exactly. I knew at that moment I was gonna love this game.
The moment
As the
I
sword
died,
stabs between your ribs, you're like,
The
amazing.
look on my face went to pure joy as I just knew that
Died.
this was the first of many deaths.
you smiled and caressed the boss's face. And you died.
Thank you for my sacrifice.
cue
So, how does
cutscene
Samurai
of
work
mysterious
for you, Matt?
person.
I was going to actually ask that next question is did any of you start your class and then just
Wretch
completely
sucked.
change down the line? I mean,
Yes.
I assume.
Mine completely changed. I put clothes on. As soon as I was like level 30 by the time I found a pair of fucking pants, man.
He's just running around in underwear and all of Elden Ring.
And
Yeah,
no
balls
longer
flapping
PG.
in the wind.
I had my what is it, a cuirass,
Curious.
and then a gauntlets. I had gauntlets, and I had an awful big sword, and then I had was it shoes? Is there shoes and boots? I think
No,
there are,
just
right?
boots.
No, just shoes.
So
or
it's just boots.
It's just
Oh, you're right.
feet.
Yeah. So I was
There's
barefoot
feet.
up to my waist. So literally, like you saw my my
Just hairy
skin
legs.
I saw my bare legs, and then I was just running around with gauntlets, big old face mask. Now it's
Now I just
Great.
imagine like some nights in the wood just hear this.
yeah. Put
hear something?
myself spot on.
They can stab in them.
Yeah.
No shoes.
Welcome to Dark Souls, bitch. Yeah, no, that wasn't the case because I still like wore whatever encumberment I can max out to without going heavy. So
Oh, so
I
you're still, like,
still
wearing
was
enough
probably heavy
armor.
as hell. So I was with how sometimes you can hear, depending on what you're walking in, it'll make sounds. So even though I was in my feet, like it was heavy enough that when you walk in the bushes, it was like. So they heard me coming. All my like large caress gears like clink clink Clink, clink. Oh my God! It's the shoeless knight.
It's the pantsless swordsman.
He's come for me.
That's good.
So before we get into what we're obviously gonna compare this to other Souls games, I do want to offer some context in that me, Woody, and JT have played, I think, every From Software game to date.
I have not beaten the
pre
second one
Souls
yet.
games,
Souls
everything
like.
Souls and up. I actually played a couple of the Armored Core games. Love them when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, I forgot they did do Armored Core. I forgot about that.
Yeah, apparently they're going back to it. Not that that's the discussion, but
now I do want to offer one interesting bit of note is that the director of From Software had claimed that he wanted to take a break from Dark Souls for a bit. So he decided to make Elden Ring, which is just
Dark Souls.
Sure, of course you want to take
world.
a break from Dark Souls. Let me make the same thing.
But this one has a bigger map.
Because this Dark Souls game is admittedly different and probably the easiest of the Souls games.
Yeah, definitely accessible.
So what are some of the gameplay changes we've all possibly noticed?
I really liked the part where you can't level up. That was my favorite part.
That's actually not a change.
Yeah,
is the
that's not a
same
change,
as always.
So
In
you
fact,
you must not like Dark Souls games very much, do you?
The ironic thing of that statement is this one's the most accessible with leveling because it's the first one you don't have to beat a boss to level up. You just have to explore a bit. You just explored in the wrong direction.
Apparently, I explored wrong. You chose.
Admittedly, Demon Souls I think takes the cake as far as like when like you don't know where to go. I mean, now if you were to go back,
was way worse for me.
No. When you go back, if you imagine a world where there is no Dark Souls-esque game or
that's true.
Okay?
Like that was the
and
first
then you're
one.
going
Sounds like
into
a really
Demon Souls.
happy
I remember
place.
when I first played Demon Souls, and it released on PlayStation 2. Yep,
it was
PlayStation
3.
2.
It was 3.
Was it 3? It must have been the
Souls
first.
Came out on 3. It was
it was an early PS3 game.
So early PS3 game, and I remember playing it and having the exact same mentality as Devin. I played it and felt like I was doing really good. I was like, oh, I'm finally in the world. I've died like 3 times and been apparently resurrected, and now I am bestowed this power where I can level up. And so I started to level up, and then I was like, I had like maybe 12,000 souls or something. Nah, I'm lying. It probably wasn't even that much. It was like probably like 3,000
enough
or
to
5,000.
be painful.
Yeah, and then when I died, it was like in front of a dragon, and then I died again. I grabbed the souls. The dragon killed me again, and there was no getting those souls back without dying. So I was like, son of a bitch, this isn't gonna work. So I quit, and I eventually went back to Demon Souls, like when they re-released it for PS5. And I got to play it again because I was a huge From Software fan at that point. But Demon Souls, there wasn't like it was the first one of its kind, and I was like, ew, I don't know if I'm ready for this kind of commitment.
For me, it was Alan who got me into From Software games when he first played Demon Souls. He tried to get me to play it. I played for like
the one that
30 minutes, and I gave up. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm in this weird circular palace. There's no enemies to fight. This weird chick with wax over her eyes is talking in very vaguely. I'm gonna go back to playing Halo. that's
so wait, Woody,
like legit didn't give
for
it a
your
try.
first was Bloodborne your first one, Woody?
Yeah, it was when you guys
went
told
back
me to
play
try out
Dark Souls
Bloodborne.
games, right?
Yeah, so I did Bloodborne, and that first, I was like, I probably did it like 2 or 3 hours. That getting up to the wolf boss, that first boss.
Yeah,
and I could not beat him. And you guys were like, "Don't worry, you'll figure it out. You'll get it eventually." And I kept dying like the whole long path, and I was like, "I can't do it." And eventually, I did beat it, and then it gets easier from there. But yeah, that was rough for a first time start.
I do still feel like Bloodborne is the hardest of all the games.
I agree. Out of all of them, Bloodborne is definitely the hardest, and I do think Elden Ring is the easiest because of the changes they've made.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. They definitely made it so if you take the time to go and get the resources you need, or be it the leveling or otherwise, you can definitely take on any boss just with resources alone. And I mean, when I say resources, I do mean like getting either this particular spirit to summon or something like that. It just makes the different bosses easier depending on which which kind of what the strategy is. It is cool that the game does focus your boss fights on strategy more so maybe than any of the previous games, in that the strategy is once you find that exploit, it's so easy. Like that particular boss or whatever, each boss has always tended to have an exploit that I've seen. So
I haven't come across.
I wouldn't say exploit. I'd say more
much.
just you learn it. And that's the case with all Dark Souls games.
Yeah,
Once you learn their attacks, it's easy to roll in through them and all that. But I agree. Oh, go ahead, man.
Sekiro is probably the one where once you learn it enough, that one becomes the broad term easiest of the Souls games. Once you master the combat, you can beat that game in like 2 hours. You can just stroll through it. Because once you beat the last boss in Sekiro, every other boss is just a chump.
A joke.
It's just you're just laughing.
Which is, I mean, to be fair, that's usually what kind of the Dark Souls games do. Is the last boss is usually a pretty difficult boss. Every once in a while you'll find this boss that's either the halfway boss or whatever that just gives you this particular annoyance. I don't know. What is it? The Borealis Dancer or whatever. And
for Dark Souls 3, that one gave me a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that was one I beat on my first try, and you guys were like, "Yeah, he's so hard."
How did you do that?
So hard because I just had the giant hammer and I just swung it at her face until she died.
Conversely, I want to point out that then when we fought Godwin, I think his name was Godwin, the guy who's on the dragon in the Dragon Kingdom, I beat him on my second try, and you two struggled for that one.
Yeah, I remember the Dragon King, whatever it was. What I
can say is, for this particular game, Elden Ring, because of the way they introduce these exploits, the way that you can, I just feel like, and by exploits, I do mean like there are certain, whether you want to go distance against a certain boss versus up close and personal, because no doubt if you're going to go melee the entire game, you need to learn the boss's attacks. And that I agree with you, Woody, but there are a lot of bosses where if you get a ranged weapon and just keep that distance, it's cheese all over the place.
You see, you're using the word exploit when I think you mean strategy. Exploit's like where you're hacking the game by breaking it.
No.
Using a ranged weapon they designed in the game.
So for instance, General Radon?
I don't know.
General
Radon.
Whatever his name is, Star Scourge. Okay, he is arguably probably the hardest boss to fight 1v1. Okay, let's 1v1. If you had to fight that guy 1v1, good luck.
Second try. I already did it.
Second try.
No.
Yes.
I'm not saying. You're saying that you didn't summon any of the summoners with you?
I did summon one of them on accident, but I hate summoning them because it distracts the boss. When the boss is distracted, I can't read the attacks as well, so I hate summoning people. I like being able to read the attacks while he's facing me. And if he's not facing me and he's facing an enemy, it's useless to me because I can't go in. If he's just going to turn around and kill me.
Second try without summons is what you're trying to tell me.
Well, again, I did summon one guy, but other than that one that I accidentally clicked on, yes, I beat him on my second try. But I'm also like 107.
Here I am fighting him at level 55, and I'm like,
he killed me one hit.
Way too low. I was like level 80 when I killed him.
Yeah, I was level 105.
It took me like 20 tries. I was level 55, and I summoned every one of those motherfuckers. Okay, I was like, go!
Now I do use my jellyfish quite a bit.
Fly to your deaths! I had to summon them like each 3 times because once they die, you can resummon them.
Well,
So-
mine all died in one hit, so eventually I just stopped during his second phase, and I just focused on.
Oh, I didn't even notice he had 2 phases.
He does.
I must have been just
after-
too
yeah.
strong. I think I just plowed through.
I
with
think
my
I just killed him.
phase.
I was
I
just
thought
swinging
my
my
ass
sword.
And half his health was just down. No, but that's what I mean is you can. I literally rode around on the fight. Actually, I rode around, summoned, then got up close, used my rot breath, gave him rot, and then just rode around my horse, watched the battle from afar like a general in his
Oh
binoculars.
God!
Oh yes! Oh yeah!
You got hit hard. Oh.
Get him,
JT to all of his
get-
summons. Quit
Get
exploding
him,
your
Blade the
powers!
So
Wolf.
that's what you
Blade
mean
the
by
wolf, hit him with
exploit.
your- Yes. So that is what I mean by exploit. And if that's not like an exploit, I don't know what is.
They let
so,
you
I
summon
would
guys in the
describe
fight.
I-
That's
as an
strategy, man.
exploit, but
Okay.
they do plan on you doing
that's-
that, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm sure and that's what I mean is that if you are either super stubborn, unwise, or extremely over leveled, then going into that fight can be kind of a surprise.
That said,
Yes, I was.
I do.
What if you're extremely under-leveled?
You die when they
JT
seize on
was.
You might die.
I'm
You
just-
might
I'm-
die. A few
I feel like
hundred
that's what my
times.
experience was like for 3 hours straight. Was a lot of
So-
under-leveled encounters.
When I'm hearing Devin talk about it, it brings another thought to mind, and this is a very serious issue that maybe should be discussed. In that, when playing a From Software game, whether a new one, an old one, or just one of these Souls titles
Is there
altogether,
another type? A new one or an old one?
Or one
No,
of the,
I mean
one
like
that exists
whether
in
it's
another
a new
dimension
game.
in the multiverse.
No, whether it's one of the older games or one that comes out that no one has played before, or if you're new to the series or not, I think mental health therapy could probably help a lot of players out there in being successful at playing through Dark Souls. Because
This is my mental health therapy. How else
I
can
feel
I
like-
release my rage and
because
frustration through the
instead
day?
of no, but instead of like say Devin, like instead of like being like, I just died with 7,000 souls. I just died with 7,000 souls. What the? You can fill in the final word there.
Fill in the
But
blank.
here I am thinking that if you had either if you would have reached out to your mental health therapist, they probably would have said, "Oh yeah, I had trouble with that boss too."
No, they would have said, "Get good,
You know, it's-
Good.
it's funny,
they
I
would
feel
have
like
said,
good, bro."
I feel like
it
having a
says here-
bachelor's in psychology helped with that. It helped me understand that
Did-
this is not worth my mental
did not
health.
help. It did not help me at all having a background in psychology. No, your psychologist probably would have just Googled and said, "Oh, you're supposed to rest it at this particular grace site to level up," and then you would have been like, "Shut up! Just shut up! You're supposed to be listening to me."
So I do want to point out that JT does have a point as far as exploits go. I wouldn't call them exploits. They're more of what the game has in mind for you. There's a few bosses. General Radon is one of them. There's another boss. I won't spoil it because, as far as I know, neither of you have gotten to it. But typically in every Dark Souls game, there is a boss you have to fight, and you find a certain weapon that you have to use against that boss that only
the
works in
gimmick.
that area.
That's not an exploit. That's a
Yes.
gimmicky boss.
It's a very
There's a-
gimmicky boss, and he's probably the hardest of those gimmicky boss types I've faced in a Dark Souls game.
Really?
He sucks.
Wow.
He was a huge dick.
Hmm.
Like, was he like actually like a physical huge?
Just a giant flopping.
Honestly,
So
you
so
could
when you
He's
come
argue-
across
getting
a boss-
harder.
when you
the
come
sad
across a
thing is
boss,
what is that
that
he
looks-
did. He did get harder.
he did get harder.
This, God,
This
get
whole
out of control.
episode has just gone down the toilet.
Literally.
Another gameplay change that I do want to bring up just because I felt that it was a
Mackie,
welcoming change.
That boss that you exploited.
Oh,
Did
was I able to kill him?
Well, I just want to know if he fucked you first.
Oh, absolutely. Without the lube, too. It was It was bad. It hurt. he had no mercy in his soul. When I did kill him, I actually told him. I screamed at the TV saying, "Give my regards to Satan!"
Oh my gosh! It was like the most the most clever thing you could come up with on the spot. Give your regards to Satan, sir.
And that's why we played From Software games, though, is because that moment, that feeling of, oh, I destroyed this cheating boss.
We love that feeling.
It's like some kind of high. There's probably a
and there, I mean, there is
to be done on
for
it.
whatever reason, there is a good feeling that when you walk into a fog door and you do see this 2 giant testicles and a huge figure that looks like a dick, and the first thought that comes to your mind is, this boss is gonna fuck me. Then that is why we play From Software games, because
and that gave us our R rating.
Because I guarantee you, when you guys walk through that fog door, you're gonna pause and you're gonna be like, "Oh, this is him.
There it is.
This is the dick. And this is it.
The dick.
There's the balls, and there's the dick."
Well, good.
So
I look
now that
forward
you've
to
all,
it.
Where's my bend over emote?
I feel like I actually kind of lucked out on quitting only 3 hours into this one, because I don't think I want to play this game now that with all of the
did luck out.
sexually charged anger that's involved. I'm just
to be fair, I think he is a secret boss. So
does he give you a seed after he's eaten?
Well, thanks for joining us on Baker Bros Presents today, everyone.
There's a gold seed item in the game.
There is a gold seed item that some bosses drop. Just to clarify.
Is he dripping?
And you know, when you think about the ones that do drop it, Mackie, what do they not resemble if not just a humongous giant? Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Are we gonna we'll just keep going in that direction?
So, I'm trying to get us
back on a more serious track. I was going to say one thing that they did change that we haven't discussed that I liked was how the weapons work with the Ashes of War. I think JT, not on this podcast, but we discussed, and you said you didn't use the Ashes of War much, or do you?
I have no idea how the Ashes of War even come into play.
I don't know how you haven't figured it out, but that's okay. They're amazing when you get the hang of it.
For one thing, I'm using a weapon that it's one of the special weapons that you can't change your Ashes of War. So I can't change my Ashes of War. If I change my weapon, I mean that ruins my entire kit, right? I mean all those levels, all those
what do I even do with
stones go nowhere.
Well, what weapon is
How
it?
can I get those?
Is it at least a
back?
useful skill?
What weapon is it?
He does this. Ah! And all of his stats, I assume, go up because
he has creation.
He just yells at the ether.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ability it sucks because that boost lasts for a whopping 4 seconds.
Well,
what?
That's fine,
it takes 2 seconds to use.
I actually never use it.
Oh,
to me,
well, I use.
It's literally a 1.5 second taunt that uses my FP. So why do I want to do that?
Taunt?
I hope the weapon itself is really good.
I accidentally pressed L2. I just used my FP. Now I'm not going to be able to summon my guy. I gotta.
Yeah, I was going to say. What JT hasn't mentioned is that it has a passive skill that allows him to summon 800 extra guys to fight the battle for him. So
No, but it does make me lighter on my feet. It brings me from medium load to light. So I'm like,
Oh, that's good. That's
in
not bad.
full
For
like
4 whole
paladin
seconds.
gear. Yeah,
That's like
it's
2
not
rolls.
4 seconds, Mac. It's like realistically, it's like 30 seconds, and it's not that. It doesn't use
might
that
be
much
a different
FP,
one then.
but it does. He literally just kind of
Oh, well,
screams.
I
That's it.
use a weapon that you can change to the different ones. It's not a boss weapon. And being
Yeah.
able to change is awesome because that changes the weapon typing as well. So if you're
Yeah,
like, well, I
yeah.
want to try out magic-based damage because these guys seem weak to magic, you can just change it now. While in the old games, you had to
See,
manually
I
upgrade
do
different
that.
branches of weapons.
Yeah,
I do that with my sacred seal. So I have lots of breaths that I use with my sacred seal. I have my
Oh,
bot breath.
you can use
I
the
use my
potions on your
poison breath.
sword?
So no,
Interesting.
it's not that I use the potions on my sword. I can't actually use anything on my sword. I wish I could. But I use my actual like breath to like breathe fire.
Oh, is it like a magic
breath of
magic
fire.
breath?
He's talking about magic.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't use magic because I am all strength. I am like my strength right now is 80, I think.
And if you can find a weapon that has like a high like
I'm like my arms are just tree
what
trunks.
what letter? Yeah. What letter is you skip leg day there, buddy?
My guy's like, you know, SpongeBob when he has the inflatable
Yeah.
arms. That's my guy in Dark Souls or Elden Ring, swinging this sword.
What I do wish is that depending on like how high your endurance was or your strength, I feel like strength and endurance should work more together. But whatever. I feel like your sword, even though like, you know how that heavy sword is like, it takes a lot to like throw around. I wish that the higher your endurance was, it sped up your swings faster, or your like your chain, like your swinging chain, like
your chain.
I've got a 3-hit chain with this huge 2-handed sword.
Oh, like how
and if I do
long
all
the combo
endurance,
takes
then
to
I can be
use.
like whack, whack. So he's like taking his one hand and he can throw this sword up in the air and do a whole lot of tricks with it, you know, so it doesn't seem like it's that heavy. But no matter how high my endurance, no matter how high my strength, that sword looks like it weighs 8,000 pounds.
Yeah, that's always been the case with Dark Souls games, though.
Yeah.
It's different weapons that have the different speeds. While
That's what I'm saying is I wish that did reflect with your endurance. At least your
that
endurance,
would be
maybe
cool
not your
though.
strength, but
Yeah,
I know.
I'd say it'd be really hard to balance, because then you
It
can get
would
two
be.
ultra swords and just turn
Yeah, like
that
what
on
if you
and just
just had the colossal sword?
dead.
You like somebody like comes to fight you, you know, invades you, and then they just have this colossal sword, and you're like, oh, I don't even need to worry. And then he just swings it like a samurai dashing through. You're like, what is your endurance?
He pulls out a colossal sword like in his 2 hands, and then you're like, oh, this guy's gonna be slow. And then he pulls out another colossal sword in his left hand, and then he like swings it around, and then you're just like, I think I'm die.
So dead.
What is interesting, and this was another gameplay change I noticed, is that you can dual wield every weapon in this game.
Not every weapon.
Nope.
Colossal swords. Colossal swords you cannot dual wield. It says that when you equip them. It says with the exception of colossal swords. Yes, and I think great swords too. But
no, you can dual wield great swords. I checked. You can do.
Oh, okay. But yeah, colossal swords. I know for a fact it says that you cannot.
See, I bet you that your dual wielding great swords does reflect how like fast you are.
I know doing one-handed does, like one-handed versus two-handed.
Your sprint speed usually goes into, if that's what you're referring to as far as how fast you are.
I mean how fast your swings are. So it's like, oh, I'm dual wielding these 2 great swords, but what's the point if I can only swing them so fast? Like,
yeah, I agree. Like you can still only swing one arm at a time, and so it doesn't really make a difference.
Well, there's a certain combo change where you slam them both down, and I have noticed because I've been dual wielding a couple of weapons now. Is that it adds the damage to that one attack?
I'm a dual wielding samurai, so I would know.
Actually, I dual wield whips now, and it's awesome.
Is it? I was thinking about those whips, but I haven't seen
which I love because now my character, I made another facial appearance character to look exactly like Gabriel Belmont from Castlevania.
Yeah, I would do that too, but unfortunately, the only whip that I found is the leather whip that you typically find in
Oh, that
any
one sucks.
Castlevania game before you find the
It's like a
Vampire killer.
BDSM whip, and that's
vampire
it.
killer. Yeah, it's literally like no, it's not even a BDSM whip. It's more like a brown like
Or like a
it just
lion
Tr-
tamer's whip.
Trust me, JT,
Yeah,
it's a
like
BDSM whip.
no,
Trust me, I know these things.
I know these things.
Trust me, I know these things. And it
It's
does look
quite
more like an
literally
Indiana
is
Jones
one.
whip, which would be a lion tamer's whip.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Really quick, I didn't want to also. Oh, go ahead, Devin.
I was gonna hop in real quick because I I have to get up really early, so I'm gonna jet out of this particular episode. So I'm gonna answer some questions real quick that we talked about previously, real quick. I'm killing the mood. That's okay. I don't care.
You're good.
So I liked the game for the 3 hours that I played. I know you guys have dedicated much more blood, sweat, and tears, and apparently JT some other bodily fluids, but that's okay. I enjoyed it. I like the open world. I like the open world concept. I didn't think the gameplay, as far as like the combat, the visuals, and everything, I didn't think it was overly complicated. I enjoyed that. It made it fun to play, because I remember when I tried Bloodborne wasn't that fun to play to me. I was like, I can only do like one or two things, and I'm dying a lot. But I think that had I been able to spend more time, because I'm busy, playing it, and really like being able to level up, if I would have gotten just enough so that I could spend that 7,000 souls instead of get killed by bosses every time I collected the 7,000 souls.
I can absolutely confirm the game's much better once you can level up.
Yeah,
sure.
I imagine it probably is. I think I would have enjoyed it more, but I admittedly, I liked it. So as someone who's not really done a lot of From Software gaming or Souls gaming, I felt like it wasn't so overly painful. As I've heard you guys talk about in the past, playing some of the other games like Sekiro and Bloodborne, I was intrigued by it, and I would have played it more. I just, because I couldn't get to the point where I leveled up, which apparently was my own fault, I just kind of got turned off to it.
Yeah,
the time that I would need to play it,
caresses you and
that
woos you before fucking you nice and well.
Yeah, that does. Man. It does actually bring up a good segue into something that I want to talk about. Is I have noticed that there are a lot of forums that filled up with lots of players that, for whatever reason, I don't know, cannot get past Margit. Like, they just can't.
Oh, really? Yeah, I haven't seen
Margit.
I've seen a lot of people playing it, and it's interesting because obviously this game is way more accessible. See you, Devin. But it's way more accessible, and it's surprising because there's a lot of people like in Devin's situation that are opening their eyes, or whatever you want to say, to playing a From Software game, which I think was their goal the whole time, was to make a game that more people can play. Which I think they did. I think they absolutely succeeded, and while still keeping it to the Dark Souls difficulty and exploration.
And I have noticed that a lot of the extra bosses that you can fight, or a lot of the very difficult bosses, are optional bosses. They're not even ones that you have to do to get through the game.
Which I think brings us to another good point to discuss, which was some of the stuff I didn't like about the changes, which one thing that me and Mackie have debated about for a while was, though the game is a lot more open world, the boss and enemy variety feels limited. Like copy and pasted everywhere. Even some of the dungeons, like all those exploration dungeons you find on the overmap. If you were to take a screenshot of a catacomb, I would say 25% of players could tell you which dungeon it was.
Now,
maybe.
Really quick.
Because they're all the same.
I do want to interject just to say that there was one catacomb mission that I did last night, or a night ago, with JT. He was on the chat. And I'm not going to give spoilers, but it was the best designed one that I'd come across. And I've done, I'm pretty sure, all the ones of the map that's been revealed so far. because I like to
was
complete everything, and the design
Catacombs.
wasn't so much I can't spoil it because if I spoil it, it's going to give away what you have to do. But it was the only one that I came across that wasn't just a hack and slash. It was like you had to really think about like what was going on, and
yeah.
But it was the only one out of like 12 of those dungeons that was like, oh, some thought was put into this one.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
wasn't
know.
like
I've come across a couple of the Catacombs ones that I'm like, oh, this is different.
nah, they're all
Because I
pretty
like
linear,
went through the whole thing and
though.
I was like, how the hell? Like, how do I get through this? Like, I'm coming to a dead end, and I'd have to.
There's maybe one or two that have done that to me, but
Well, yeah.
most of them,
I mean,
it's just
most
like
of them are like.
Well, the reason I say that is because every zone in the Dark Souls games, normal Dark Souls games, that's happening the whole time. You're like, wait, wasn't I just here?
Yeah.
Didn't I fall from that building over there to get down? Where the heck am I?
Well,
this game, it's like, oh, look, it's a hallway with gargoyles. I better roll before they hit me. That's like 90% of those dungeons right there.
Yeah.
So I have talked to Mac. Like, did fast travel ruin this game? Like,
they always had bonfires. I don't think they ruined it.
So
by
here's
any means.
I do want to stress that Dark Souls 3 had fast travel between bonfires from the very beginning.
Between bonfires.
Well, this is how is a grace different than a bonfire?
Well, I've got 18,000 runes on me.
You don't have to
I
go
just
to
want to travel to the nearest.
Okay, you both are talking. I have no idea what either one of you said.
Go ahead.
What?
So the difference is that JT's alluding to is the fact that unlike previous Dark Souls games where you had to be at a bonfire to go to another bonfire, in this you don't have to go to a grace to teleport.
Oh, I guess you can escape easier. Yeah, if you're like, this is too risky, I'm running away. Well, you can't fast travel in the dungeons, which is the only place I've found any risk involved anyways. On the overworld map, you can fast travel whenever. But, I mean, you can run away from anything if you couldn't fast travel. Yeah. Which you can't fast travel when enemies are around, so at that point, you're going to run away to fast travel. So I say no, it doesn't ruin it.
When you're in
because that's what you did in Dark Souls.
There is... I mean, not much stopping you from if you die in the open world because you couldn't get away from the enemy.
So how many times? Sorry, Mac. Let me interrupt you. How many times have you played a Dark Souls game and had like 30,000 souls on you and been
countless?
Like, okay, now hold on, 30,000 souls on you, and you're like, well, I'm trying to find this new area, and I feel like I'm really close to finding the next fire spot or whatever. Bonfire. Do I go? Do I turn around? I physically turn around and I look back and I'm like,
no,
do I really want to go all the way back, or do I want to just find this damn bonfire? I'm gonna go.
That is true. That has not happened once to me in this game. So yeah.
In some Dark Souls
I'm
games,
like, you know what? I'm just gonna travel. I know exactly where I need to go to get to this spot. I'm just gonna. I'll just go to this.
I'll just do it. What were you saying, Matt?
In some of the Dark Souls games, once you go down that path, there is no turning back. You have to go.
I know.
It's like you turn back and you're like, oh yeah,
I jumped down.
So it is kind of a crutch, though. I feel like I've noticed that it's not completely obvious, but at the same time, when you got a huge world, I understand it's less complicated. Not having to go to a bonfire and select from 100 different locations, because the bonfires, typically you select an area and there's maybe 9 bonfires in a single continent or whatever.
Depends on which game you're playing, but there's usually very limited.
Yeah.
But I would say that is less of a crutch than even the thing that Mackey's mentioned before, which is the fact that the souls shows up on your radar now when you die, or runes.
Change.
That's way more of a crutch. Because remember before, if you died before, it was like,
I don't know
where the hell was I? How did I get there?
Don't get me started on. Don't get me started on having to kill whatever it is that had your souls.
Oh, Bloodborne?
That's wicked, man. That is wicked.
You get to where you died, and you're like, oh god, they're not here. Where are they? Then you look around.
Now that I have
giant that has them.
Now that I have 3 flasks left, where's that? Where'd those souls go? Oh my god, the ogre got them. How How did he? How
They're
I
gone.
didn't even touch
They're
him.
gone, JT. They're just gone.
You're just
Can I
silently
even?
praying.
Is he
that
even?
your
I thought he
souls-
was just an NPC until now. His eyes glowing red. Oh shit!
It's purple. The eyes glue purple.
Yeah, purple, red,
Remember.
maroon, really.
I
But yeah,
remember
no,
those
that I think is a
eyes.
huge crutch. But also, I back up less of a crutch, more of an accessibility thing. That's why I'm okay with
Yeah,
it.
more of a
It didn't
quality,
ruon it for me by any means, but it does
quality
make
of
it
life
easier.
change.
Yeah.
Me and Woody did talk about this the other day. In that, I would argue that this game does suffer a lot from the open world aspect. That was just my opinion. Woody is slightly more forgiving, but we did agree that they could have made this game without the open world. We feel, and it would have been better. Like the horse was a cool gimmick, but honestly, it wasn't necessary.
I enjoy it, and I like that they made it where if you explore really thoroughly, there's items you'll find all over. I mean, there's no zone where it's like just an empty field with absolutely nothing. Usually there's like a hidden item somewhere in a corner when you look around. But those items aren't necessary, so you don't have to explore. That's a good thing. Because if you had, like, if it was a key item you had to find without exploring, most players would hate that. So I like that part of the open world, but as you said, a lot of it is just it's not necessary because it doesn't add to the game any as much as it's cool, and but it's just like whatever.
Adding to that, the whole suffering aspect, and I think the furthest of us all into Elden Ring as far as story goes and map wise. And I'm going to try to say this without spoiling too much, is even the boss variety. I could forgive the enemies you fight variety. That I could forgive and not really care too much. But even some of the bosses are just repastes. And the final boss at the capital, even before you go past it, it is a repaste of another boss.
I've noticed a few repastes of bosses, quite a few. Or the biggest culprit. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done.
I was just going to say that he is slightly different in that his second phase is different, but not by much. And I actually killed him on my first try because I've fought that boss before, so I was like, oh, I know all of his movesets already.
Oh, and he killed you in the second phase? Yeah.
No, he didn't kill me in the second phase because he didn't hit me at all during his first phase, so his second phase was... I had so many health potions that it was...
Oh.
I am noticing that the further I'm getting, the less I'm dying.
I mean, that's all Dark Souls games.
Yeah.
Because you're usually over-leveling. But
every once in a while you'll find, like, when you get to a new, like, area, like a new city, then you're, like, going against monsters that typically have, like, 4 hits before they die instead of 2 hits or even 1.
Yeah. You haven't had that in a while.
And they'll have a completely new move set and attack style that you're completely unfamiliar with, so that gives you a huge disadvantage. In this, there is a lot less of that.
The Mad Frenzy place, I was like, oh my gosh.
Thus far, I do want to say that the hardest boss that I've come across, and again, being Woody mentioned it, was the Crucible Knight. That was still the hardest boss. And to me, the most...
It's almost because we were just too low of a level.
Well, we were probably too low of a level.
So, Mac, did you ever fight the Crucible Knight and the Misbegotten Warrior?
I haven't. I was going to ask you guys how to get to that area.
Oh, you had to. You said you beat Radabon, didn't you?
He missed it. So if you go too far into the story, then when you go back, the festival is ready and that entire area is cleared out.
Oh, I didn't know that because I did it.
I wonder if I go back there, it'll be...
No, I think it's probably gone. But I mean, it was...
Got to get New Game Plus.
Man, at your level, you would have plowed through them
if
you found them.
I was like...
I mean, I beat him on my second... I think it took me 2 or 3 tries.
That's wild that you say you bought him on the second try, because I was like, man, that's crazy, because I was like, I need a farm to beat these guys. And I was level, 59, 57.
Well, I was high enough that first guy, the Crucible Knight, he takes 15 seconds to show up.
Dude, I can get the first guy dead before the Crucible Knight
he was dead before the Crucible Knight even showed up. And then it was just me, mano y mano, And since I
And
had
that's
memorized his every move
See,
from when we did it too low.
I hadn't yet. So I actually
I knew his
hadn't beaten
moves
the
like
Crucible Knight when I
perfect.
came across those guys. So then I was like, you know what? Crucible Knight would be pretty good practice on this guy. So I went back to the Crucible Knight, right? And fought him.
Mhm.
Took me like only 50
Oh, he's
tries.
too easy at that point.
No.
Oh, 50.
That son of a bitch was not easy.
Yeah, no,
and
he's not.
So I
But once
literally
you know his
had to
moves,
learn like all of his moves. And then once I learned all of his moves, I literally went into that same fight, probably killed that Crucible Knight maybe 10 tries after I died 50 times.
And I had just recently beaten the other Crucible Knight when I found that fight. So that's why it was like, oh, this is it.
Fresh.
He's going down.
However, that just again adds to my point that the game is easier. Maybe it was due to design. I don't know, but it is a lot easier in the second half because you're fighting essentially the same
bosses.
Enemy.
Yeah,
in different ways.
Or
sometimes maybe they'll throw two at you.
Exactly. It's the two of them being thrown at you.
I liked Bloodborne's approach on copy and paste. They're like, in this one we'll light this one on fire.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, and we'll also go ahead and just completely change his move set to be 10 times faster and more aggressive. Yes.
10 times faster.
Oh,
yes,
and he's
but I want
flames now.
I want this one to act as if he's taken Bane venom. You're just insane.
What if we made a blood-letting beast instead of just a regular beast?
Yeah.
This one's blood-starved beast. He's extra angry.
Yeah. No, Bloodborne.
It's not just the name that's changed. It's not just the name that's changed.
Yeah, me and Mackie actually were talking the other day, and we were saying how the chalices, even though they were kind of like RNG, almost like built out of like Lego pieces in terms of the design, they were more unique with harder bosses and more unique bosses and enemies
than the
dungeons of Elden Ring.
Yeah. The mini dungeons, we'll say.
Yeah, the big dungeons of Elden Ring. Memories of old Dark Souls, I love it, but that's where we go back to is the overworld necessary? Because if I'm just running on my horse between big awesome zones, why not just let me go to the big awesome zones without the horse running?
Just tell.
I mean, that's it does shine the most when you like are in like a new, either it's the manor or the castle, somewhere where you know that you're going to unlock like different little shortcuts, and you do
exactly,
but you don't get to see those moments as much because usually that's like the entire game. Yeah, instead you have a whole bunch of exploration to do, which is, I mean, it is.
It's not a bad thing.
Still
it's just
works better than I would have anticipated because I didn't even realize that they were going full on like open world.
I knew that. I did not think it would be this big at all.
Yeah, neither did I.
It was way bigger than I thought.
Like, I wasn't expecting Skyrim level sizes. Like the map itself looks amazing when you like are actually running to different zones. And while there is some, I was telling this to Woody that there isn't a huge aesthetic change into each zone. There is some where they're just vastly different. Like, I mean, hell, the Royal
Manor,
the Volcano Manor,
the Rotten area. Yeah, there's definitely some zones, but a lot of it is just here's open green pastures with some rocks.
I think they're by far their greatest, the greatest weakness, I would say, in their production was the copy and paste feel of either the dungeons or even like the major dragons. If you've beaten one, you've beaten them all.
Killed them all, sir. Son, good work.
So anybody that's listening, if you're coming
except
across
for the
dragon,
giant dragon, somehow he's easier than all of the others.
Oh yeah, that one.
I don't know of any giant dragons, so I don't.
Oh, he slept the whole battle against me. So.
He literally slept? Like, was it?
He literally slept as I whacked him with my sword for 20 minutes.
That's one.
Which one was that?
It's this giant dragon that you'd
think huge.
Like, oh man, this is gonna be a crazy fight or something.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to beat the little dragons around it. So that, from what I understand, and this is a little bit of spoiler for those that care, but you can either choose to defeat like the 12 little dragons around it, and it kills him, or if you kill him, it'll kill all the 12 little dragons around him. Like one or the other is all you got to do.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I'm just gonna kill the
And-
one that's sleeping.
Yeah, I just killed the one that was
It's
sleeping,
a
and
lot
I was
easier to
like,
kill
you
the
know
one
what?
sleeping.
I bet he
gonna
gives me a
test
bunch of
this.
souls. So I popped the gold rune pickled foot, you know, and sure enough, I got like
Yeah.
120,000.
Oh
Definitely
yeah,
good
way
there.
too many souls, by the way, for like what you were expected to do.
Yeah,
That's-
for me, just sitting there watching TV as I'm just swinging my sword and running out of stamina, I'm like,
Unless there's something
Yep.
we missed as far as story related, where it was like, oh, you're not supposed to kill
Oh,
that.
you're supposed
yeah. All
to
these
talk
people
to the
listening are
dragon.
like, they killed
Oh,
him.
you're an idiot.
They killed him.
You're
That was
idiot.
Falcor.
He was Falcor.
He was the righteous dragon. He was the luck dragon.
Huh. He totally
Huh.
didn't fight me. That's a good
He was
point.
sleeping the entire thing.
He did.
I
take
was
it.
convinced my weapon was hardly hurting him.
It clearly didn't hurt him enough until it finally did.
Oh, so
Until he died.
you know, yeah, you know the beast. I want to say it's called like a beast clergyman. Have you seen him? You give him like a death root.
Oh yeah, yeah. the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
in Death Root.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
have
doesn't
you-
talk to
have
me
you-
anymore.
Yeah,
Have
he'll
you fought
randomly
him?
attack you.
Yeah, holy cow! He kills me in like one hit.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I
I
didn't even know
finally,
you
I
could
finally,
fight him.
quote unquote, tamed the beast, and he was like, "I won't fight you anymore. I promise. I'll keep the beast within," or something like that. And you're just like, "Well, geez."
Well, does he
Holy
let you
shit,
trade with
bro.
him again after that?
Yes,
I
he
can't.
does.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I need to do that then. Because I
Yeah.
fought the Black Kindred guy outside, and I ran away because he was murdering me.
Yeah.
But I ran into that room, and then the guy just shot like a blast of air at me, which happened to hit that beast.
Yeah, that's what
manner
happened
dude.
to me. And then he
And
went
now
all
he won't
aggro
talk
on
to
my
me, and I'm
ass.
like, it wasn't me. I didn't hit you.
I do want to point out that I was really sad when I had killed the black. What was it? The tainted black knight, the thing guarding the beast clergyman's sanctum.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah.
what
only
the
to
Black
find-
Kindred beast, I think.
I fight him again. Only he's a lot easier. Just another
Oh,
repaste.
the repaste again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Admittedly, this one had a different weapon, but I'd actually already fought the other versions.
Oh,
of that knight.
see, so that's not quite a copy and paste. If he's got a different weapon, that's a whole nother
Well,
story.
Kind of, because you actually fight other giants. They're gargoyles is what they're actually called.
I mean,
You
it's
fight
hardly
them.
being set aflame, but it's
Yeah,
a different
I would
weapon.
argue if it's different moves, it's not quite a copy
Well,
and
no,
paste. It's
the-
when you
the
have the same
gargoyles
enemies
who
across
fight
The
the
moves
board.
were
Capital
literally
have
the
the
exact
same weapon of this guy, so you're
Mhm.
able to telegraph his moves are the exact same. This one was
Oh.
just bigger and black, which they
Oh.
always are. Oh no, no,
Which they always are. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. See what
yes.
I did there? Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
Yes, they
indeed.
are.
Yep,
They are.
Oh,
God, I couldn't stop
my.
myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna have to just Mac. You're gonna have to edit all the dick jokes.
Nope,
Yes.
I'm not gonna do it.
I
Too much work.
refuse.
It stays.
Very well. We keep the dicks.
We keep the dicks. So obviously we've already been talking about, because we're running short on time here. We got maybe, I don't want to take us too much longer. We've already talked about our general opinions of the game. So where would you guys rate this as far as compared to other Souls games? And in a ladder of.
Like
I would
in
give it a Dark Souls 1 out of Bloodborne. I don't know what you mean by that,
I don't even
Mackie.
know- I don't even know what that
I
means.
mean, of all the Souls games,
I thought I had an idea of what Mackie
At-
wanted, and then you come off with Dark Souls 1 Bloodborne.
Yeah,
What
I have no
I did
idea
I was
how
being dumb.
as far as say Sekiro is a 10, like Sekiro is the epitome, or Bloodborne is the epitome of what we want Dark Souls to be. How far away was Elden Ring to that, or how close?
Well, the thing is, I didn't want it to be those because those are separate games, if that makes sense. I wanted something a little sort of like how Sekiro was different, but still Dark Souls-y. But giving it a rating, I'd say
You're
for
not
what they were
speaking
going
Woody's
for-
language. Woody, was it bravo, awesome, stylish, or sexy?
You know what? I'm going to give it a bravo awesome. Wait, or is it
Bravo
sexy as an S? And awesome is an A?
Sexy is an
B?
I
Awesome's an A.
think
so
sexy
bravo,
is
awesome,
SS.
sexy.
Sex.
Yeah. Super
is
sexy. I would
super
give it
sexy.
a super
SS.
sexy. An SS. Assuming there's a triple S somewhere out there if it was like perfect. It was not perfect, but I think they did everything they wanted. And overall, it's definitely worth playing. They just had some minor things, like
And
we said.
to be fair, we have not actually completed the game yet. We haven't seen everything it has to offer as far as bosses go. It's
But
just
we do all of us plan on platinum,
We've done.
right?
Yes,
I would
we all
say
plan on
we're
platinum.
pretty far in. I've seen enough repeat bosses, at least in the extra dungeons.
Yeah, that's
ignoring the extra dungeons, it's amazing. But when you do every bit of exploration like I do, scouring the overmap, I want to stab my eyes out, having seen so many mushrooms. And what other plants do you pick up?
What
What am I
150
doing
of
with
every
these
5 feet?
mushrooms?
What am I
And
supposed
do you
to
guys
do with
actually
these?
use those?
Oh, I have crafted absolutely nothing.
Really?
The crafting in this game, I think, was a good idea, but terrible.
No,
They should have done it more like.
I think it could.
Just,
I think it's probably better utilized by other players, but because
Probably.
I use it if ever I'm like I don't know where the next grace point is and I'm poisoned, I will straight up go into like
the Grace Mimic?
No,
You'll
I
use that?
wish
No.
they did. What?
What I'll do is like if I don't know where a grace site is and I'm poisoned, I'll straight up go into item crafting, craft me up some cure.
Oh,
Yeah, I
cure
guess you
poison.
could do that, but I haven't had that problem as a problem yet. I just
there's
heal.
a few areas where you will be at where like, oh man, I really need to make some poison, which is great because you'll always have it now.
Nope. If I get built up with poison, I just assume it's probably not going anywhere, and I just heal through it. Like, I'm just gonna get poisoned
That
again.
is what the case usually is. If it's in an area where it's like, if it's an enemy that poisons you, yeah, it's pretty easy, quick. Like I'm in an area right now where it's just an entire lake of poison.
Rot?
So,
poison.
Oh well, it is actually rot, so it's worse.
Rot is far worse than poison.
Yeah,
I would
but
definitely. I can see not doing
thing,
it for poison, but rot is like literally 3 times the damage.
Well, that's the thing is that rot, like the rot accumulates so fast in this lake of just toxic sludge that it's pointless to craft those items because they don't offer resistance, and if they do, it's negligible at best.
Yeah, and again, that's still only like 3 items of crafting you guys have discussed out of hundreds. No, what I wish they did was something like Breath of the Wild. When you eat food, it boosts your stats for like 20 minutes. I wish they kind of had done something more like that, where you can craft food items that just gives you like maybe it gives you 5 strength for 10 minutes.
Fair, they do have items that you can craft that boost your stats. It's just
they do,
but are useless.
Those, well, like no, they do have the food, like the meat that boosts your physical damage.
No, that one's good.
That one's good, but it's the most limited freaking item in the game you can craft. Like all the good items to craft are like
leaf.
Yeah, and then the other the like feet, the item drop one and the rune drop one, those are also super rare crafting items that are like limited. So I don't know.
Actually, the claws, if you're referring to, and the item discovery, those aren't limited. They're just hard
no,
to
find. the silver bugs and the gold centipedes, I think, are though. And you need those for those.
I have like 20 of the silver bugs.
I know.
I
got
some overrated. I have a whole bunch, but I'm at a point where it's like, should I use it or not? I don't know. So
they're good for farming for armor,
rune arcs,
for souls.
Yeah, I use those to get my Banished Knight's armor. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, the crafting I think is like,
I do want to say that the inclusion of the Ashes of War, which they first introduced in Dark Souls 3 as far as weapon skills go, is a dramatic improvement, and I loved it. There are some that I feel are completely broken, but I still love them because, completely broken in the sense that I cheesed the hell out of this boss by just spamming this ability.
Exploit,
Woody? You're the judge.
Sounds kind of exploity.
No, exploit isn't that, because you said exploit is only when you're hacking the game.
No, it's when you take advantage of the like. So I would say using that magic spell is not an exploit on itself if it just does a lot of damage. Now, if you can stun lock the boss by spamming it, that's an exploit. When they can't even attack because you're stunning them, that's exploit.
However, the unsheathed, I think, is unsheathed like because there's actually 4 different unsheathed Ashes of War. Each one does one different. One is the moon or transient blade. Same thing as unsheathed, only it shoots a beam of light when you
Maybe I
unsheathe
should
with the
start
samurai sword.
experimenting with this Ashen of War you speak of.
You should. If you have a
Yeah,
weapon
I
that
use
has
the
a
double
crappy one,
slash with
get
my
rid of it.
two-handed sword.
Switch
Well, it's
weapons.
cool because the one I have, it's like a combo. And a few of them do that after I figured it out, where it's not just one attack. If you press it again,
It literally
it'll do
just
like a
changes the
second hit.
L2, right, for the weapon?
Yeah, it's just your L2.
Yeah, as long as you're not holding a shield.
Yeah, some of them it's like L2 then R2 to
I
do
think
it.
it has
But
to.
most of them are L2.
Yeah, it's L2 first and then R2 to combo afterwards, I think. Or
No,
it's
not
L2
for
twice.
the double slash one I use. It's just L2. Then after that's done, you can press L2 again, and it does the second strike, and then you do L2 again to do the
it is just
finishing
L2
strike.
twice.
All right, were
So it
we
just
gonna do
depends.
were we gonna do a short pause for our sponsors, or
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
let's do it right now.
Moment of silence for our
All right, we're done.
sponsors. Okay.
a moment
we
of
have none.
silence for our sponsors?
Thanks, Dad.
JT, I did not hear your
love you,
final
Mom.
opinion of the game, though.
I would
Super
say,
sexy?
I would say it was stylish.
Oh,
No,
not quite
I
a
mean,
super sexy.
yeah, it wasn't quite a super sexy, but I think with the copy and paste feel of some of them, with some of the bosses and even the layout of some of the dungeons and whatnot, some of it became a little redundant. But I can say that whenever I'm home and I have time, I don't have a problem
Yeah, I
hopping
mean, I
into
agree.
my knight
yeah.
armor for an hour and a half or so and just go at it, even if I literally
This is
found myself
redundant.
in the
I'm
exact
gonna
same
do it
spot.
anyway.
Yeah.
I
And
do
I mean
admit the game
that's what I mean is like
addicting.
it's hard to be harsh on a game that I mean
Pulls you in so much. Yeah,
yeah, on a
and that's
game
what I mean. They
that
did it
literally is
very
built to
well.
put you through bosses that take you 50 tries. It's funny because if you've taken the time to watch some of the YouTube videos that are out there, and I know that we plan on eventually um, um, posting some on our website, but it's funny how some of these people that either have just not played as many Dark Souls games or whatever, but they're like clearly have fought this boss like 60 times and then they're literally just a sliver away from killing it and the boss gets in some absurd combo
Why would you
that
do
just
that?
decimates you.
Why would I
Would you
do
make a
that?
joke? Why
To me,
would you make a joke?
I wasn't even kidding.
One hit to go and death by self-poison.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've had that happen. I forget I'm poisoned, and then all of a sudden my guy, oh, I'm like, oh damn it, I forgot I was dying.
No, like seriously, when I fought, the rot general guy. So one of the times that I fought him, and he's not even like a really hard boss. One of the handful of times that I fought him, I was literally like, he had one sliver of health left. I had used all my potions. I was on my horse. I used my last potion to revive my horse. And I was running up to him, and he had rotted me. So I had rot. But all I was paying attention to, all you're paying attention to was the enemy's health. I'm like running towards him. I'm like, oh, he just used his heavy attack. I'm going to kill him.
Heart attack!
And then, no, I was literally like, suck it, bitch. And then, like, out of nowhere, it was like, oh, and I was like,
no.
Wait,
no.
That wasn't him. Why am I dying? I was like, oh, the rot. No. That was like one of those moments where it was just like, die, sucker. And your horse like falls apart and you're just
That is legitimately what happened to me.
Are you kidding me?
It's legitimately happened to probably every player of this game.
Player.
At some point or another, you have forgotten you were poisoned or
when the
rotted.
boss is at one hit, you just don't even if you have the health potion, you just don't even care.
Yeah, you don't even.
I gotta finish this now or never.
I can get it.
It's never on a boss. It's just exploring. I'm like, all right, no enemies around. I'm in the clear. And I'm like, I had like 6 potions left.
So to close up, for me, I'd say that, and you guys are right, maybe I'm being too harsh and I can't just say this is the worst Dark Souls game, because that's what I came into this wanting to say that. But
maybe it is, but they're all really good games.
But that's
Well,
the thing,
in some ways, you can't really compare it.
It's like bad pizza. If there is no well, unless it's Hawaiian.
No, you definitely. I've had some pretty shitty pizzas in my life, man. Let me tell you this little thing about tortilla pizzas.
Oh God!
As George R. Martin writes in a giant dick into the gameplay of Elden Ring, it's a From Software game. The fans are gonna love it either way. So
just let it be. We'll drop a seed.
That was what I was originally saying, but
seed.
I guess all I can say is that it's a great game. I mean, I'm looking at it now. I have 82 hours into it. God knows I'm probably going to dump another 50 getting the platinum. If I'm lucky, only like 30.
Yeah.
You won't be.
So to say that, I'm not getting my money's worth is a joke. So it's a great game.
Oh, yeah.
By far the best accessibility from all the Souls games.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to say that it is by far an easy, not an easy game, but as far as the Dark Souls game or Dark Souls-esque games, it is the most approachable for any player.
However, there's one thing they didn't change that they should, and it's in every Dark Souls, is the damn multiplayer. The fact that we're still stuck having to change passwords and different map types is ridiculous.
Just let me invite you to the PlayStation menu.
I
write something on the ground and pray you can see it in the right spot.
Yeah, I don't really understand why it is the way that it is, but I am one among many, as I have heard, that have found themselves
unworthy of help or aid.
Lonely across the expansion.
I send my messages and there's not but any response.
I'll wait for hours, see if anybody shows up.
They don't.
I'll just wait here. It's a boss fight. Surely someone's gonna. It's just because no one's putting their signs down. It has nothing to do with the multiplayer. I checked my multiplayer settings; they're clear, so it can't be that. It's just
it's definitely the server.
No one's come.
Our brother JT has tried in vain for about a week now, messing with his router settings.
Unfortunately, he suffers from the plague of NAT Type 3.
Yeah. God forbid.
Yes. 'Tis the plague. Fall worse than rot.
Fall worse than rot.
All the many deaths that I would have saved me had I had a NAT Type 2.
But admittedly, when the multiplayer does work, it is enjoyable. The way they balanced it is in question because all they did is just triple or double the boss's health. So whether or not you're actually making the fight easier is debatable.
It's still fun to be in the chat and hear everybody's kind of screaming about whatever they're
dying
in agony.
Oh my gosh, this
to play
big
together
dick is attacking me.
Yeah, that's good. I liked it.
So what's next week podcast? Next week episode.
Next
choking. He's choking.
Don't die.
Someone called EMS over there.
I had myself. Drink a soda. Wrong tube.
That Diet Coke, man, will get you.
It's the Diet Coke.
Just inhale it. Just inhale it all the way. Let it just disperse in your lungs.
I actually haven't decided what we're going to do next. I'd like to do a video showcase of Elden Ring where we're all like...
So when does Stranger in Paradise come out?
Next week. So we got to be quick with Destiny 2.
So I don't think that's going to... No, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I do definitely want to do Stranger in Paradise because it looks like a pretty sweet game.
Oh, we're going to do it. Whether or not the episode will be relevant is...
I do have great news to all of our fans out there that I am getting my internet fixed to a NAT Type 2 this week. So
I bet they are just so excited for you, JT.
I'm sure they are. All three of them.
All three of Mom and Dad and
all three of my wife. Just one.
You have three wives? What?
Well, we are Mormon, so it does track.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
My wife and my 2 mistresses? Do I have mistresses?
Ask your wife. Honey.
Anyway, moving on.
Welcome to Dark Souls, bitch.
At the
I
end?
kind of almost want to stop it right there.
You
Regardless,
should.
you'll either have it be Destiny 2 or some other game you'll be playing. Thanks for watching, listening, not watching.
Love you, Mom. Hi. Sorry for swearing. I know you'll say something about it. So.
And all the big talk.
I apologize for all the big black dicks.
No, they're white. Most of them are white.
Oh.
Most of them were white. Only one was black.
Sorry.
Oh, jeez. We're going to hell.